Hey, record-loving friends, this is Brian from Tokyo Record Style. I just dropped my kid off on a Sunday morning activity and I have a few hours to kill, and I thought I would give you a little tour of one of my stomping grounds in Tokyo. I am outside of Kichijoji Station. Kichijoji is a town, neighborhood, outpost on the outskirts of Tokyo. It is a pretty nice neighborhood that I've been coming to for a really long time. The first crew of people that I got tapped into in Tokyo, a lot of them were art students and designers, and they were going to the Musashi Art School here in not far from Kichijoji. Kichijoji is technically, I think, in the town of Mitaka, I should know, and it's at the end of the Inokashira Line and in the middle of the Chuo Line. The Chuo Line cuts across Tokyo, and the Inokashira Line goes from Shibuya to Kichijoji as the terminus. And I have been living on and around the Inokashira Line for all of my time in Tokyo. And it's a nice little pocket of this wonderful city. And Kichijoji's got a little bit of a unique flavor. I've brought you here on previous videos and shown you a few of the highlights. There's a couple of really nice record stores here, HMV, Coconuts, Ballroom Records used to be here, Jackpot Records, and a couple of others. And I kind of like to think that Kichijoji is a little bit like Tokyo Light. It's just not as crowded. It has all of the things that Tokyo has. It's got plenty of shopping and entertainment and goods that you might need if you're going to live a busy Tokyo life, but it's just not quite as crowded and commercial, even though it's filled with businesses everywhere I look. But it's just got a little bit more of a smaller vibe than the big city of Tokyo. And it's got an amazing park called Inokashira Park. And Inokashira, I believe, is the name of a flower, and it is the headwaters of the Kanda River, which flows all through Tokyo. There's a well here, and it's a beautiful green pocket of Tokyo, and I want to show it to you, and I want to show you a little bit of this city while I have some time to kill. It's not exactly record related per se, but I thought it might be a fun chance for you to see a little bit of my city. So I live halfway between Kichijoji, this town, and Shimokitazawa, which are two quite cool neighborhoods. I'm about a 10-minute bicycle ride to each. And I really love where I live, and I love being close to both of these towns. And Kichijoji's quite special because it's surrounded by greenery and forests, and it's charming and quaint. And there's even a little zoo here, actually. Tokyo's sort of third-tier zoo. There's a big, world-class zoo in Ueno. There's actually another amazing world-class sort of almost safari park style zoo in Tama out west of town. And then there's this little rinky-dink zoo here in Kichijoji. There goes the Chuo Line, just dashing off. You might have missed it. And because it has this zoo, and because it's a bicycle ride away from my home, I took my kids here thousands of times to the zoo and to the park, and we kind of, we consider this one of our hometowns. And so I thought I would take this chance to show you around. There's so many facets of Kichijoji, and if you've lived here, you know about it. It's a little bit of a trek to get to if you're not on this side of town, but it's well worth coming over here. And the first thing that I want to show you is our town mascot, Hanako. Hanako has a little bit of a amazing legacy. She was the hero of the zoo. She has been living here, or was living here, only up until just a few years ago. She was here during the war, during World War II. And when a lot of the zoos were closing at the time because they couldn't care for the animals, Hanako survived. She was a gift from India. And I don't know, she was a symbol of fortitude and peace. And she didn't really have the greatest living conditions at the park, admittedly. But she is a hero of the town, and she just died a few years ago. And we immortalized her here in this giant bronze statue right in front of the station. And back here is this bus terminal where I am right now. And it actually is the site of some really fun festivals that are going on throughout the year. Earlier this year, me and my family went to an amazing music festival that was here. It was an all-day, two-day-long music festival, and it culminated in this all-super band jam here at this very site. It was very cool. And actually, today, you will see some paper lanterns around the city. You might see them off here in the distance, and you'll probably see them in the background here of a few images. They are going to be carrying around, when I say they, I mean the residents of this neighborhood will be carrying around the portable shrine, the omikoshi. There might be 7 to 10 of them going on at one time. All the neighborhoods are numbered, and they each have their own sort of teams, and they have their own little neighborhood designations, and they have their own portable shrines. And you get together with your local neighborhood, and you carry this ridiculously heavy shrine around that's on sort of like, you know, these posts that it takes literally 30, 40, 50 people to carry. Some of them are absolutely enormous. But it's a pretty interesting way to celebrate culture and community here in Japan. And I actually, the reason that they do it is to, I don't know, bless the neighborhood, to bless the businesses with safety and prosperity. And it's just a way to connect the community to the local shrine. And it's part of the Shinto tradition. It is connected to Shintoism, which is not Buddhism, even though they sometimes are intertwined. But Shintoism is connected to the sun god of Japanese mythology, Amaterasu Omikami. She was the first sun god of Japan, and her great-great-great-grandson became the first emperor of Japan. And so it's quite different from, obviously, the Buddhist tradition, but very interesting culture of Japan. Actually, one of the unique things that I really appreciate about Shintoism is that Shintoism has shrines where Buddhism has temples. And Buddhism is often connected with death, I would say. It's a little bit odd, but it's like you might be buried at or cremated within the Buddhist tradition, and some of those early rites of passages that you have, a sort of like christenings and baptism and various rites of passages you do in the Shinto tradition. And there are shrines literally everywhere throughout the city. There are big, huge, important shrines that are all across the city. And then there are these little tiny shrines that you find in little nooks and crannies of the city. And they are just as special as, you know, the big important ones. And they are honored and cared for in the same way that the big ones are. And you basically find all manner of shrine in between. And don't quote me on this, but I believe the G in Kichijoji is the same G in Jinja, which is the shrine, which means shrine. And I think Kichijoji gets its name from the Lucky Shrine, perhaps. I may be butchering this, but there's a big important shrine here where we could go and visit, and one of the landmarks and where Kichijoji gets its name. I'm here in the sort of somewhat seedy back alleys of East Kichijoji. I'm here at a little parking spot where I often park, and there's little snack bars and little restaurants and bars and cafes, and there's actually like a little bit of a red light district here. There's some love hotels and some touts who are inviting you into their kabakura, which is like a cabaret club, abbreviated in the Japanese phonetic way, kabakura, cabaret kurabu. And there's also, and interestingly, a soap land here. Now, I can't tell you I know anything about soap lands, but it is a place where Japanese men go to get soaped. I'll leave it at that. But it is a little bit of a nightlife experience to come and check out Kichijoji, the east side here. It's a little bit like Kabukicho, which is, you know, quickly being cleaned up, but once very seedy entertainment district of Tokyo. And there's little remnants of it all across Tokyo, but Kichijoji is one of those places. And you'll see these guys sort of dressed in these sort of silly, over-the-top three-piece suits. And yeah, interesting little part of the culture. So I just wanted to show you like a little bit of the east side of town, which is really nothing too noteworthy. But these sort of commerce districts sort of fade off into these somewhat uptown-ish neighborhoods where the real estate is probably quite prestigious, as is the addresses. And yeah, Kichijoji is a nice neighborhood to have been based for a long time. There's a lot of Kichijoji pride and Mitaka pride. There's also, I failed to mention, the Ghibli Museum is here. The famous Miyazaki studio who made all those Ghibli movies that you love. And there's adjacent to Inokashira Park is the Ghibli Museum. And there's a lot of pride around that. And next to Kichijoji is the town of Mitaka. It's almost like I'd call it a sister city of Kichijoji. And yes, I'm seeing like little clubs here called The Player, The Chelsea, Stagia, Club Paradise, and other places like this where you might come and find some rather seedy entertainment, if you will. Paradise. Since I've lived here, there has been built an enormous building that houses the giant electronics distributor Yodobashi Camera up here on this marquee. Yodobashi Camera has every electronic gizmo that you might imagine, from computers and TVs to interconnects and stereo hi-fi and so on and so on. Here's Club Love Raw, and they've got the whole menu of the system that you can that you can subscribe to. 5,000 yen for a certain set. This guy's a tout for it right there. He's trying to recruit me to come in right now. So I thought I would blast through this giant manufacturer, or excuse me, this giant electronics distributor. I probably am not allowed to go in there without permission, but let's be bold. And maybe I'll take you on a few floors. Now it's called Yodobashi Camera. One of its big competitors is Bic Camera. I think Yodobashi is potentially, at least in the Tokyo market, winning the market share as opposed to Bic Camera, but don't quote me on it. Yodobashi has a little bit, slightly nicer price, although you can get them competing with each other. And a little bit nicer facilities. Bic has been around for a long time, and it's called, both these outlets are called Bic Camera and Yodobashi Camera, and maybe they once started out as camera shops, and they have heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of camera equipment, all the camera equipment that you could possibly imagine. And I think probably over the decades, they leveled up over and over to where they have, you know, everything now. Kichijoji is also, I would say, I mean, it has everything. It has everything that you would expect in any, it's got everything. It's compressed. It's like Tokyo compressed. That's the way I should start explaining it. Tokyo compressed. Because it's not exactly tighter or more filled, but it's just, they got everything that the big city has, including this really lovely gallery that I love to visit sometimes, called Gallery Nagatani, which sometimes has photography. Looks like today it's shoji, the Japanese art of calligraphy. There might be some shoji masters on display here. And there's, you know, there's like 4 or 5 huge department stores, and I'm looking at fitness centers and used camera shops and salons coming out your ears, and there's got to be several thousand restaurants in this town alone, and just everything. I'm going to take you on a few more places, but we're here at this giant, like 7-8 story Yodobashi Camera building. There's probably 3 levels of parking beneath it, and there are 5 floors of Yodobashi, which include gaming and PCs and cameras and watches and home electronics and toys. This is a toy store as well. And on the 7th and 8th floors, they also have some of the discounted fast fashion outlets, as well as a 100 yen shop and a sneaker shop. So it's kind of a place where you might spend a whole afternoon, actually. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take you in here and we're gonna blast through here. I'm gonna turn the camera around and continue talking while I show it to you. Battery change, and then we're gonna pop in again. Here we go. Okay, I think there's entirely too much to show you, but I'm gonna blast through a couple of floors. Here on the first floor, we have shavers and face care and massage gizmos and batteries, and then this entire department is the phone area, iPhone, Google, and we get into the personal computer department. Although the first floor is also filled with computer accessories and what do they call them? You know, various things. Here's our like iPhone cover shop with just literally like thousands of different iPhone cases that you could possibly choose from. I mean, good grief. There's just something for everybody. Chargers and the little things and the little ladies, sort of cute areas, and the anchors and chargers and so on. We get into the Apple Watches, and here's where you might sit down to consult with a staff who's going to help guide you through maybe purchasing some Apple products. And I'm going to keep showing you a bit more. We'll go up the escalator, and you can see a bit more. Here's the handy fans. Okay. Bit overwhelming, eh? Just the signage. Like this is very much Tokyo vibe. We've got 4 escalators going, 2 going up, 2 going down. We get here to the second floor where we see one of my favorite katakana characters, Camera. This happens to be the bicycle area. They also have this like crazy bicycle place where you can get all the bicycle accessories and the helmets and the electric bicycles. And they even have this funny little riding area up here on the second floor where you can take a spin and see if you like one of these cool electric bicycles. Here we get into the camera area, film cameras, digital cameras, Polaroid cameras, and just cameras coming out your ears. Video cameras and Olympus, Fuji, all the DJI stuff, which I'm filming on right now. All the gimbals and all the gizmos. And I said that if you ever caught me wearing one of these vests, then to please shoot me, but I think it's coming for me before I know it. Tripods and humidifiers and tripod heads and lenses, and God, this is where the good stuff is. There's all the Sigma glass and the Canon glass. Ooh, I'm lusting over some of this. Nikon stuff. We say Nikon in Japan. You guys might say Nikon overseas. Scanning, film stuff, photo frames, telescopes, camera bags. It's getting really over the top here. And then we've just got aisles upon aisles of photo frames and albums. I often come here for albums. We've got cosmetics on this side, it looks like. And more self-care. There's like all the Cosme and gizmos that you might need for, I don't know, bathroom, shower, facial care, and so on. And blow dryers, some funky mask thing. It's gonna massage your face. Luggage. I see some interesting, what is this over here? Okay, they've got all the like wearable health stuff with our sponsors, and over here we've got watches among all the suitcases, clocks, entire, you know, like a world of clocks. Look at all these funky, like, sort of like faux grandfather clocks. People have these in their homes. There's some pretty wild ones. This is like pure Japan. This is Tokyo style. And, you know, we got a whole world of clocks, rows of it. And we've got our watch section and watch repairs and Zippos. And here's our nice watches. You know, they have the nice Seiko and Casio and some of the, you know, wonderful Japanese brands, but then they also have some of the, you know, more premium brands. So the Omegas and Bulgaris and the nice automatic Seikos and so on. So there's the Grand Seiko brand. That's quite interesting. And little photo studio where you can set up electronic printing and make t-shirts and lovely prints, and let's keep going. Why not? Are you guys getting dizzy? I know it's a bit much, but let's just keep going. I'm having fun. Here's TV Land. I think this is kind of entertaining. There's Adele on the TV. Some video game footage. Is that real? There's Coco. And just total TV land. I don't know how you could possibly come in here. I can see the flicker on the screen on some of them. I don't know how you could possibly narrow down with so many choices. But of course there's Sharp and Toshiba and Sony, and they all have their points. And then we have lighting, insane, you know, lighting coming out your ears, lamps. I think we can maybe skip the rest of this floor, but we've got some home lighting. Oh, wait a second, let's check this out. This is the hi-fi area. I would say that the hi-fi place is not actually, it's pretty interesting, but I think some of the premier hi-fi shops are a little bit more exciting. This is a little job that I've had my eyes on for a while. That's a Denon CD player that is quite lovely. Headphones and AirPods and, you know, monitors, bookshelf speakers. Let's see if they have any. These are sort of like computer level speakers and walkie-talkies. And even though they've got these sort of, you know, outlet adapters on every floor, you can find them here. And we're getting into the hi-fi. Here's the surround sound and home theater, AV, audio video amps. And you can see they have Marantz, BMW, Denon. They even have Dolly. That's pretty cool. And here we're getting into the Yamaha setup. Of course, Japan's got to be proud of the Yamaha brand. I actually have some Yamaha equipment. I have a Yamaha AV amp that I use for my home stereo. Then we've got the little home stereo jobs. I mean, they're pretty proud of this price, $233,000. That's about 2,000 bucks. They've got the Kefs, okay. They've got the nice Kef LSXs, and which are hot right now. And over here, we get into the more sort of high-end theater stuff. These are speaker cables, and you know, you can spend 500 bucks, 600 bucks on interconnects. And we've got, you know, feet for your stereos, for your amplifiers, for your AV furniture. We've got the heavy-duty speaker cable, all different manner of cable, and I'm sure quality and price as well. And you can buy it in bulk. And then we've got the Technics 1200 SLG, the latest generation. This is kind of, have my eyes set on one of these. And this is where we get into some nice hi-fi stuff. But I would say the selection is rather limited, more limited than you might think. Here's the brochures for all the different devices. Turntable selection is quite limited. They've got some sort of cheap stuff and, you know, 1200s, and looks like it's pretty limited to Japanese makers. And then we've got some cassette decks and some integrated amps. And there was the one I was looking at before. Kind of curious about that guy. And the old classic, you know, big beefy 2-channel Yamaha super high powered amps. Oh, here we go. There's something nice. That's the new, what is that? The Denon DP3000. And then we've got all the different floor speakers and bookshelf speakers that are a little bit more high end. Although I'll say that you can actually find some significantly higher end stuff at some of these select audio stores. But they've got Tannoy, JVC, Eclipse. They've got some of the usual suspects, but not some of the more obscure ones. This is kind of a cool little area. Oh, there's more turntables over here. Okay, they've got the sort of entry-level stuff. Is that the new? No. There's a new Technics that just came out. Oh, maybe that's it. That's it. That's the new one. Oh, very cool. Okay, so this is their new sort of like entry-level turntable. It just came out recently. So there you go. Sneak peek. And I was kind of curious about this tone arm. Tone arm looks really nice. And is this cartridge replaceable? Okay, that's looks pretty interesting. That would be a nice starter turntable. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, better be careful there. That wasn't the right way to do it. And then, you know, okay, so there's your speaker corner in your hi-fi area. Audio corner. And then we've got a limited selection of cartridges. It looks like they're kind of out of cartridges. And, oh no, here's some more. So yeah, you can get your special stuff. They've got Grados and Audio Technicas and yeah. Anyway, oh, there's the nice Ortophones. Moving magnets, slip mats and calibration tools and phono amps, and over here we've got, you know, more crazy cables and interconnects and microphones, and we've got all manner, you know, your standard SM58s, 57s, audio interfaces. Oh, wouldn't it be nice to have one of these? Can somebody sponsor me to score me a SM7B? Then we've got pianos and instruments and, you know, nice smattering of electric pianos that you might have in your home, as well as like accordions and all the wild, you know, different instruments that Yamaha makes. They make quite a lot of instruments. As I see like electronic saxophones and recorders. You know, Japanese kids have to learn to play the recorder and play the pianica, harmonium, I think it's called. We've got massage chairs. We've got like 80 different massage gizmos and massage chairs. And let's keep going, why not? We're here, nobody's stopping us, and let's just do it. Is this entertaining? I hope so. This could go on quite a while. So if you're bored, maybe fast forward or tune in later, or thank you for being here already. We're here at the, what is this floor? Oh, this is like home appliances. This is the vacuums and the washing machines and the espresso makers, and I see you can probably get a demo coffee, air conditioners, heating and cooling, all your kitchen appliances, air purifiers, air conditioners. In Japan, there's not really central heating or air conditioning. Each room has its own individual cooler or heater. And so you're constantly in a state of repairing and, you know, and then here we go. Here's the toy and game store. We've got a nice T-Rex, Velociraptor, kids on the Legos, giant Lego section. I loved coming here when my kids were little. And I mean, this is what we're looking at. It's, you know, Toys R Us times 1,000. And they've also got toys for big kids. There's the TIE Interceptor. These are behind the glass. It doesn't even say the price on them. Ooh, the pyramid. But that Lamborghini looks pretty sweet. Woo! Lion King, Harry Potter. Well, they've even got a video. Okay, that's not, won't break the bank. That's basically $100. Oh, and these are cool. The Great Wave. Oh, there's that Lambo. No, that can't be the same one. It's not the same one, but. And I don't know how interesting this will be to you all. I'll blast through some of this, but you can just, oh, there's actually something worth checking out here. You know, everything. They got it all. Lika is the Japanese Barbie. There's some kind of crazy Lika maniacs out there. And I want to take you over to, they also have these sort of like, you know, premium wood toys, you know, from Sweden and Germany. And but this is what I wanted to show you. This is the game area and the puzzles. They've just got an insane amount of board games. If you're a board game maniac, I think they have them all here. And all the classics, you know, that you might know and love. But over here, I can't believe I'm showing you the entirety of Yodobashi. These are the gacha gacha area. These are all, I don't know how to say them in English. Gacha gacha. You put in your coins and you can get kakipi, different, your favorite brands of snacks and just anything that you could possibly imagine. I wonder if there's some familiar ones that you guys might recognize. I mean, premium fruit, that premium fruit that you buy in Japan as like presents for people. There's the Hershey's, the potato chips. I mean, it's, okay, the UFO, this is, people collect this stuff. It's crazy. And there's like, you know, you dump 1,200 yen into these things and you get them all. You know, you got to make sure that you don't miss out on any. And I bet you that not all of them are 300 yen. I bet you some of them are, you know, 1,000 yen and some big pulls. There's some Star Wars stuff. Friday the 13th. And, you know, all the tie-ups. And I think there's some like interesting businesses that play into these worlds, and there's like fun licensing that can be done. Collabs that a lot of people get pretty into, not just kids, but adults too. So anyway, it's kind of over the top. Another thing I wanted to show you is the adult models. Here's some UFO catchers, they call them. I know, this is dizzying. It's overwhelming, I know. But here we get into toy trains and, you know, remote control cars. So if you're a train person, you know, they've got all the train stuff. I don't know if their train stuff here at Yodobashi is as good as, you know, what you might find at a train specialty shop. I have a feeling it's not, but at any rate, you can get a sense that we're getting into the adult toy area where people are making their own, you know, building their own models, building their own, you know, sort of maniac, otaku level seriousness. So we've got cars, and I was trying to find where, oh, here's the deco trucks. These are kind of cool. Japan has this culture of a thing called the deco truck. Decotora, decoration truck. And these guys who drive these semis, they bling out their trucks just like these models. And they make them sort of like over the top, and they have like jets on them and crazy lights, and they have giant horns, and they're kind of a riot and a little bit scary to see going down the highway. And yes, here we're getting into, you know, the train girl models. And I don't even know what okay, this is where it gets a little bit, we're getting into real otaku world here. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. We're getting into like Gundam territory, where we see like people who spend lots of time and lots of dollars to make amazing, very intense models like the ones you see here, hand painted and highly treasured and coveted by the people who make them. We've got all the battleships and paints and okay, so you can see it just goes on and on and on and on. Chopsticks? Why chopsticks? I don't know. And more toys and more games. And I think I've somehow circumnavigated the video game area. I'm not sure how I managed to miss that. But there is an enormous video game area somewhere around here. It might even be like one floor up. Should we go one floor up? Oh my God, let's do it. Let's just go for it. Okay, so this is where we get into like the 100 yen shop. And I can see the Halloween stuff is already out. So this is an enormous store that is 100 yen stuff. It's like aisles upon aisles upon aisles. And it's not all 100 yen. Some of it's like 300 yen, and this one's like 200 yen for kids' goggles and 300 yen for some inflatable thing, but it's generally 1, 2, 3, or 500 yen. Okay, guys, that's Yodobashi for you. We're skipping the video game area. I think there's like, I feel a little bit bad because Mario and Nintendo, and maybe some of you guys might want to see that. But I don't know where it is. I've managed to walk past it somehow. So I'll skip it. And then the first floor, or I should say the basement floor, has like an infinite amount of peripheries. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Printers and mouses, or mice, and keyboards and hard drives and USB ports and routers and things like this. And also like office furniture and standing desks and, you know, gamer equipment and all of that stuff. So that's Yodobashi here for you. And we're gonna keep going actually. I can't believe we're gonna do this, but we're gonna keep showing you Kichijoji, but that was kind of an interesting stop. Nobody stopped us. Thank you, Yodobashi. It was really fun. I've spent thousands, possibly tens of thousands of dollars here. No doubt tens of thousands of dollars. Washing machines, refrigerators, air conditioners, you name it. I've bought it here. Okay, so thank you for joining me on that little trip to Yodobashi. I'll just show you out here. There's people doing like campaigns. They're like campaigning for some new subscription to the phone. And they've got their kind of like funny costume girls. I forget what they're called. I don't know, cute sales girls who guys love to take pictures of. Or just like old timers with giant cameras like to take close-up pictures of these girls. It's a tried and true tradition of Japanese sales. as is like the standing outside the shop and going, they're talking this really funny voice. Here up on the 5th floor is Kitamura Camera. There's a cool used camera shop up here. No interest really today to take you there, but it's a very cool camera shop, and you can find some gems here at Kitamura Camera. They're all over Tokyo, but the one here in Kichijoji is pretty good. I'm going to show you, I'm in Book Off. Maybe I should show you that where I am first. I'm here at Book Off in Kichijoji. Book Off. Book Off, I've talked about it before. It is the used bookstore. Oh my God, check this out. This downstairs is like all of these, all of these pictures on the wall are different Pokemon playing cards. So there's probably people here who are playing Pokemon all weekend long, maybe after school, and they're probably spending top dollar on Pokemon stuff. I'll just show you one quick row of like the books, the book area. It's like Japanese books have this sort of like standard size. So they all fit kind of nicely on these bookshelves, and the bookstore has heaps and heaps and heaps of used books. But on the 3rd floor, where I'm going to take you, we're going to basically the record area of Book Off. I'm just going to show you briefly. So right when you come into the elevator, they have like dollar records here, plenty of them. And okay, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly for 180 yen. Is that like Antonioni? Or who's the guy who, the Marconi? That might actually be worth it. Shit record, but you know, 180 yen. If you need that Christmas record to play a Christmas set. And over here, back here on the wall, up here they have like the nice stuff that they keep. And then like right here, they have like some nice jazz sections. And a nice little record section. Check it out. This is the used, okay, there's an Abbey Road for 1,600 yen. Lot black, okay, it's like, it's known to be like slightly cheaper, but they also know what they have. There's Dylan and the band for 3,800 yen. And 45s, whoa, Space Camp, I went to Space Camp. Whoa. Oh, it's the soundtrack for the movie. Oh my God, that's so tempting. I actually went to Space Camp. So Howard the Duck. Oh my God. Okay, so they got some decent stuff. This is a fun one, Daitokuro. This is like this crime syndicate. These are like, these guys are the cops, and they try to like bust up, and they like, look at this cool Indian record, and this is another wall of just heaps and heaps and heaps of you know, records in a used shop. You know, and then CDs and DVDs and maybe like a girly section and yeah, magazines. Okay, so you're getting the vibe. It's like, it's pretty good. Nice little, you know, used bookstore. These guys, this isn't a record shop. This is like a used bookstore that you used to be able to buy records here for next to nothing. And sadly, they have sort of caught on to the game. And I actually recently visited a Book Off by my house, and I had my headphones in, And I was just, it's kind of quite an obscure place, and maybe like 6 or 7 weeks ago, I was in there and I bought a handful of records, some T-Rex and some Bowie. Somebody had dropped off a bunch of sort of 70s, you know, glam rock stuff, or, you know, Bowie type stuff. And I bought quite a lot of records, and I got home and they were so noisy. They were just like so crackly. And I had paid like 3,000 yen each for them. And these guys don't really know how to grade records. And I had said to them, like, I took the records back. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, these are worth 10 bucks each. I'll give you 10 bucks for them, but otherwise I want to trade them in. And they were like, oh, really? What else can you tell? Are they okay? And I said, yeah, they're fine, but they're not worth this. And you guys can't, the whole point of having records at Book Off is because they're cheap. And you guys should be selling your records for cheap. And so I went in there recently again, and they recognized me and they said, like, hey, we've been saving this Beatles bootleg for you. And it was reasonably priced, but I didn't really need it. It was the Get Back sessions. It was a bootleg of the Get Back sessions. And I wanted to tell them, you guys should, if you charge half price, you got a good game going on. They could just like move tons of records, because they must have like an immense amount, because they're like a drop off. They're almost like not quite a Goodwill, but they've got people dropping off records there all the time. Okay, so right now, I am kind of off of this is called Sun Road. It's one of these sort of breezeways that you'll find in Japan, where there are these quite big shopping shotengai, they're called. And, you know, they're meant for like sort of all season shopping. If it gets to be rainy or it gets to be, you know, bad weather, then you can still do all your shopping at the shotengai. And on the shotengai, on the shopping street, they have all the stuff that you would ever want. They have the pharmacies, they have the hanko shop. This is where you get your stamp. You have to have stamps, a personalized stamp with your last name on it. They've got the yaoya, the vegetable shop, the barber, Mr. Donuts. They've got a guy over here playing, he's like selling some hi-fi stuff on the street. He's got like a pop-up, and he's probably got some, looks pretty interesting. I almost want to chat him up, but not enough time. But he's selling some Victor something or other. Here's Kaiten Sushi. This is like sushi boat, sushi train. And it looks like they're not quite open yet. And, you know, they got everything on the shopping street. So this is kind of like not just one street, but it's kind of this whole area of Kichijoji that I'm going to walk you back through here momentarily. But I do want to just take you to one more cool shop and show you the sort of difference between the hi-fi equipment that you're going to find at Yodobashi, the new stuff, versus one of the places where you can see some vintage stuff. Now in Kichijoji, there's two vintage audio equipment places. One of them is Audio Union. It's a sort of a branch of Disc Union. You might have heard of Disc Union. They're a big record shop, a big union of record stores, and they're all over Japan. And I think they're probably like the biggest, if not like, or the second or third biggest Japanese record store. And they also have like, yeah, these stores where they sell primarily audio equipment, and they're called audio unions rather than disc unions. The Book Off where I just took you, that's for media. But they also have another brand called Hard Off, Hardware Off. It's kind of a funny name, Hard Off. And I want to take you to Hard Off because they have some amazing used equipment. And I see there's 3 Hard Offs right here. I feel so funny saying it, but this Hard Off is specific to PC stuff and computer stuff. And I think that one's new. I actually haven't been in there yet. And right in front of me, I see mode off, as in mode or mode or fashion mode. What is mode? That's got to be French. But it's a recycle shop. It's like the same kind of shop you might find in Kichijoji, or excuse me, in Shimokitazawa, but a little bit more select, premium brands. And here we are at this 3-story giant hard off that has a huge floor of sort of junk and cameras and headphones and like little things, gizmos. Another floor, all of musical instruments, and then a top floor filled with hi-fi stuff. So I'm going to turn my camera around and I'm going to take you through these 3 floors. I think we've been here once on my channel, but I'm going to take you again, and let's just have another visit to Hard Off in Kichijoji, particularly the 3rd floor. I'm not sure how friendly they are to me having a camera in here, so I'm going to break my rules and go a little clandestine, but come with me. Here we go. So we've even got Hard Off t-shirts, and I mean, it's a brand that we like. This is a giant famous speaker cabinet. That's pretty cool, actually. That's that famous, wow, that's actually, I'm kind of interested in that. I like that. And here we go. Here's all manner of used video games and old school video games, and we get into the camera equipment and lenses and vintage games. You guys might recognize some of these titles. I can see they're getting to be expensive. It looks like they recently just upped their video game level, and old school Wii's and stuff. And here we're into the junk area. These are all PSPs or Sony PlayStations that are said to be like really good CD players, and just like game consoles coming out your ears. They've got one going on the CRT. Old VCRs. Junk, 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 junk. Power tools. Home appliances. Wow, they've got a lot of video games here today. Okay, so this actually turned into like, it used to be kind of junky, but they've obviously turned it into like a video game world. This first level is like, they've repurposed it into video game world. I'm going to take you up here on the 2nd floor. And here we've got, whoa, Hard Off guitar cases. These are pretty cool, actually. Hard Off has done a good job at really elevating their brand. Here we've got, okay, for those pedal maniacs, all the Boss pedals your heart can wish upon. Here's the special stuff, the vintage Rat Blackface, Mini Q-Tron, the big muffs. I don't know so much about pedals. I've only had like a flanger really. The orange, was I looking, those weren't the Bosses and these are the Bosses? Anyway, I mean, good God, these are all pedals. They're all pedals. Wah-wah, Tone Bender, Blues Breaker, oh, Tube Screamers. There's the classic Ibanez Tube Screamer that Trey uses. Fuzz Face, there's cellos, and then we've got like, oh my God, Les Pauls, and that one's like 20 grand. That's an expensive one. Wow. What are these called? Lap steels and old parts. Like, okay, the flicker's kind of getting to you, I'm sure. It's like a stack of Les Pauls, and look at these electric violins or cellos and horns and all manner of musical instruments. It's not a guitar center, I realize, but here's Amp World, little mini amps, whatever you might want, cool basses, and there's kind of our acoustic guitars. I've got a couple of nice acoustic guitars, but I mean, you know, great stuff. All the Gibsons and Epiphones and strange brands, and oh, this is stuff that my buddy Golf would like. He always goes for these headless guitars. Old, wow, I don't even know these guitars. James Tyler and some Strats. You guys will know better than me. I've got a Squire Mustang, you know. Had a couple of nice guitars in the past. I think this is kind of the junk area. Fine V's, ukuleles. And then over there they have pianos and guitars and, whoa. Whoa, check it out. Oh man, I'm lusting over this stuff. I've kind of been wanting to get my hands on a, wow. God, gorgeous. Can you imagine? Okay, it gets to be insane. Look at this. Woo! Oh my God, we gotta look at these amps. Oh, good grief. Good grief. Oh. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay, hard off. Here we go to the hi-fi. Taking you once again. my God, I just pressed record. I may have not recorded the entire amazing speaker area. Should I check? I may have just accidentally not noticed that I was not recording. Okay, 6 hours earlier, Brian. I went back and fixed your mistake. So don't make it again. I'm gonna hand it back over to you 6 hours earlier, Brian, to film the other little thing that you missed. So don't panic. I've come back, covered your tracks, and back over to you. And totally missed the amazing hi-fi area that was the whole purpose of me walking over here. If I did, just know that it's filled with insane vintage audio equipment, incredible solid state and tube stuff and handmade stuff and little bespoke studio type stuff. Really, really exquisite collection. And they're the book off. It's like they're the little no-name place. They're not the audiophile place. Just insane. God, I hope I got that on camera. I really hope I did. Japanese fire station. That's the symbol of the fire station. You'll see it on the front of the trucks. That's their symbol. And here is the Kichijoji Jinja. I'm not sure what the name of it is. Maybe somebody can tell me. This is kind of where I begin to fail. But here is the shrine. This is the Torii Gate. When we pass through here, we should bow and respect the Kami-sama. And here we have the Shisa. Shisa is the lion dog that protects the shrine. And I can see a family here departing with a little baby. The grandmother is in the kimono, and I think they've just done a omiyamairi, which is essentially a christening. They've come here for some rites of passage, and they've paid the obo-san, the monk, to bless the family with good fortune and the baby with a healthy life. And they've said a prayer and sent them home with some trinkets and talisman and maybe some osake and rice, and part of the Japanese growing up, culture of growing up here. Here is the, why don't I know the name of this? This is where you wash your hands before you go into the shrine, which I should have done. And I think if we walk up here, we've got this ancient dragon, and even though he's ancient, it looks 1,000,000 years old. It's electronically censored, and we use the little spoon here, and we wash one hand, and then we wash the other hand, and then we can enter the shrine. I'm sort of forgiven for not following the rules because I'm a foreigner, even though I should have known about that. These are the chochin paper lanterns, and on each one of them is written a different person's or family's name who has made a donation or contribution to the local shrine. And one of the ways that they are appreciated is to get their name on the shrine. And today looks like there's a bit of special decoration because today is a festival of some kind. And now we are here at the edge of the Sun Road area and the main sort of central Kichijoji neighborhood. And what I'm gonna do next, if you can believe that this is still gonna go on, is I'm going to take you back through the Sun Road, and we are going to zip once through the station and go to the other side of Kichijoji, where I am going to show you Inokashira Park. And you are going to, by the end of this, have a full, entire grasp of the Kichijoji neighborhood on a time-killing extravaganza with Brian from Tokyo Record Style. Whew. I bought some spare batteries for the DJI Action 4 camera, which I am recording with. And I'm going to walk through this little corner of the shrine as well. There's another little section here that I believe I can walk through, and I'm not exactly sure how this area differs from the last. This is where we get into Shintoism sort of blending in with Buddhism. I think we've actually stumbled into a cemetery, and I think I will forego showing you around, but I will give you just a preview of a Japanese cemetery. They're pretty interesting, and Japanese are cremated, and they are put into these sort of urns, and the funeral and death process is very intricate. I've actually never experienced it, thank goodness. And but it's, from what I've heard, it's very intense. And the closest family members are very much a part of the cremation process. And I'll give you, we'll go full on here. Actually, in the furnace at the crematorium, the very immediate family is taken into the area where the very last remains of the departed one is, just their remaining bones. I think through the cremation process, it's only a couple of the bones that survive, and you are, as some ritual of the funeral process, you're meant to pass the bones from one person to another, and you use these special chopsticks to do it, and you place them into the urn, the final remains. Sounds really intense, I know, and that is the reason that when you're at a Japanese restaurant and there's some communal dish on the plate that everybody's meant to share, when one person is reaching for a small bite from it with their chopsticks, never should you, another person at the same time, reach in there and grab at the same time. The two chopsticks in the same dish is a very, very big social faux pas. So you ought to avoid that. And I believe that once the act of moving these bones into the final urn, the chopsticks are placed vertically in the urn or something like this, which is a reason you never finish eating your bowl of rice and then stick the chopsticks in sticking out. It resembles a funeral, which is why you always place them on the table on the little chopstick holder, which the name I can never remember, or, you know, across the bowl. I think laying them across the bowl is actually not great manners, but certainly better than sticking them in the dish, pointing up. So take note of that. Don't pass things with chopsticks, nor should you ever leave your chopsticks in the bowl. While I'm mentioning that, I should say you should always eat every grain of rice, because it is said that there are 7,000 gods in each individual grain of rice. So you really ought to eat all your rice. Now, right now, I am outside of the Tokyo department store. This is 7, 8 floors of like proper department store. First floor cosmetics, second floor women's, third floor more women's, fourth floor men, and so on. And you know, the typical brands, the sort of Heralds or Harrods, and you know, I don't really know. I never go really shopping in department stores, but if you need, you know, they also have like the school uniform corner, and if you need to buy a nice family gift for a newborn, they've got the special gift shop for special presents. And yeah, so that's a Tokyo institution. It was a big deal when it was probably built here in the 60s, and it's still here. It's probably due for a facelift or a teardown. It's about one of those times. And right here behind me is Penny Lane. It's kind of a cute name for a street. And it's, again, part of the Sun Road shopping area. I can see another department store behind me called Copious, which is where the Kichijoji HMV is. And wanted to mention one other thing. Oh, and over on this side of the Kichijoji, where I'm not going to take you, is a sprawling sort of residential neighborhood with little cafes and shop. I believe the sort of main thoroughfare that goes through there is called Nakamichidori, I think. It's a very long shopping street. And it's sort of like the Sun Road that I showed you before, but it's outdoor. It's fully outdoor, and it's kind of more hangouty and a little bit more, I don't know, Brooklyn-ish, if you will. Whereas this is sort of a little bit more not so far off the beaten path. I'm going to take you back here into the Sun Road area, and through some of these department stores. We'll walk past Audio Union, which I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to poke in there. Those guys they're nice enough, but I think they get a lot of people who visit their shop who don't really buy anything. And I think they're constantly sort of rolling their eyes at people who don't know. I don't know. But the point being is that I'm not going to go in there and film. But pretty cool shop. And on the first floor is all their audio stuff. It doesn't really compare to the book off or the hard off that I just showed you, if it came through. But on the second floor, they have a huge jazz, exclusively jazz record shop. And then on the third floor, they have an exclusively classical record shop with all the SACDs and vinyl as well, and so on. So up here is the HMV, the HMV record shop I've shown you before. I think the backlight is really killing us today, but it's up here. They've got a really great shop, quite big, a lot of inventory, very friendly staff, and where I think the HMVs in other parts of Tokyo are not equally friendly. These guys are especially friendly. They're very nice. Minoru-san is the guy who runs it, very cool. Nozomi-san is one of the staff. They've both been featured on Tokyo Record Style. Behind me here is, again, the Sun Road that we walked down. And I'm going to keep going over towards Inokashira Park, where I'm finally going to say goodbye to you guys. I'm going to stop here at this Jiro Hanbaiki vending machine that sells insects. You can get insects in a can. They've got giant crickets, mixed bugs for 1,500 yen. Phoenix worms, anyone? I think there's scorpions. How about scorpions, anyone? Giant water bugs, tarantulas? You could go for some tarantula now. Along with your typical coffee and pet bottle fare. I could actually go for a drink right now. Thirsty. It's hot. It's a hot day. I'm still going. So here we are at Audio Union, Disc Union. On the first floor is their audio stuff. They're proudly marketing their collaboration and their dealership of AccuPhase equipment, very premium Japanese audio stuff. And I'll just show you a quick preview. That's the place. I'm just opening the door. And yeah, I'm not going to go in there, but that is Audio Union for you. Like I said, upstairs is 2 more floors of record stores. And finally, we're back here into the shade for a moment. And I am going to take you into Harmonica Yokocho, Harmonica Alley. It is a little offshoot of the Sun Road area. Here I am at sort of one of the crossroads of the shopping area. And you can see it's goes on quite a ways. And there's just shops of all kinds. And behind me here is the station. And then over off here to the side are these little alleys called Harmonica Yokocho, Harmonica Alley, where there's little drinking bars and little establishments. And at nighttime, it's a lot of pretty cool entertainment, cool gyoza shops, and lots of people queued up. It's a little bit quiet because it's still in the middle of the day, but you can see it's this little maze of shops and restaurants, and it really comes to life at nighttime. These guys are some cool American importers. I love their stuff. They have some really great Carhartts and Dickies and all the sort of classic American brands, leather jackets and workman's clothes, and I really like this shop. And right, like check this out, Houston brand, yeah, and the sort of classic St. James French brands, and yeah, you know, tube socks, the good old classic tube socks, and Hanes undies, and cool little Chinese and Thai, and just a little taste of Asia. I will say it's got this sort of like, it's got this sort of, you know, Southeast Asia vibe, but it's, no offense, Southeast Asia at all, but, and I bet you it's changed a lot since the last time I was there. But when I spent some time in those sort of street markets, I was fighting off, you know, fish runoff from the local fish butcher or whatever you call that guy, and just sort of like, you know, they're pretty messy places, charmingly messy, but the Japanese version of it is typically considerably nicer. Like I said, that's probably all changed. Here is the omikoshi that I mentioned earlier, the Japanese portable shrine that will be carried. There'll be long posts put here on the end of these 2 long poles that you'll be carrying upon your shoulders. Will be connected to these 2 posts here at the front and on the back, and we'll carry this thing and we'll shake it as it's going around the neighborhood. It's decorated with it looks like a little shrine here with the torii gate that we just saw, and it's like a little miniature version of the shrine, and looks like there's a beautiful phoenix on top and on every corner, and it's very beautifully decorated. And the craftspeople who put this thing together are, you know, they've been doing this for generations, and it's probably a dying art, unfortunately. So I know you're tired of this, but maybe you're still here. Maybe one of you is still here. Probably not, but I'm going to walk you through the station and to the other side of the park, excuse me, to the other side of Kichijoji, and I'm going to take you to Inokashira Park, which is a really beautiful park where I am going to finally stop for a breather. But it's really one of the highlights of this town, and this specifically the Kichijoji, the pride of Kichijoji. Much like Hanako was, now we're here on the west side, and we're here at the another very cool shopping street. Lots of buses coming up and down this street. Some record stores. Rare Records is up this street. Coconuts is up the way. And I'm gonna stop here just up the corner and change the battery once again. We've blazed through 2 batteries. We've got 1 left to show you the rest of Kichijoji. Maybe we'll run out of battery and memory space, but there's a department store behind me, Marui, and Kirarina behind me. It's, you know, you can see it's got everything here, but it's just not Shinjuku or Shibuya, which is kind of nice. Okay, I'll be right back once I cross the street and change the battery. Okay, folks, if you have been on this video the whole time, you will have met 6 hours later Brian, as opposed to 6 hours earlier Brian, who you have been listening to this entire time. But now, here I am again. You saw me at Book Off, Hard Off, and now I am here again, 6 hours later Brian, cleaning up the mess of 6 hours earlier Brian, who failed to hit the record button when he visited Inokashira Park. And rather than chalk up the entire video as a loss, I decided to zip back down here and fix his mistakes. Pay no mind that the lighting is different and it's later in the afternoon and it's cooler and everything's open again and we're back. It just continues on, so pay no attention to the man behind the curtain or the slightly different change of light and day. We are here on Inokashira Dori Street. This is a little shotengai that leads us to the park. It is filled with little restaurants and cafes and recycle shops. There's a really well-established gallery here whose collection holds a number of noteworthy artists. I recommend checking it out if you are here. I'm seeing some import shops. There's a fun little sticker shop. And it seems that our local Konbini, I believe it was a Family Mart, has closed down. Let me turn my camera around and let you see what is ahead of me. More recycle shops and little import sort of Asian market shops with nice little fixtures and accoutrements. And over here we have a nice little mixed-use space with a nice pizza place, Mother's, which has some Neapolitan pizza, and I recommend this Thai restaurant, which may no longer be there. Oh no. There used to be a really cool Thai restaurant down here. There's another Neapolitan pizza place down this way, and some other nice gift shops and select shops. And we are coming here to the park. You'll see the trees ahead of us, and on a really hot summer day you will see some people offering some nice cold drinks. They're offering us at Sarutahiko Coffee, which opened first in Ebisu and now is all around Tokyo. They've got some cold matcha and some crepes. And we've got the old trusty Starbucks here. And then we have the legendary izakaya and yakitori-san Isseya, a Kichijoji institution. I believe this is the original location. And it is a place that comes to life at night, a very popular izakaya and yakitori-san. You can see the chefs cooking up the skewers and people waiting in line to catch some chicken skewers and various meat and vegetable skewers. And here we are coming down the entrance, the grand Kichijoji Inokashira Dori staircase. But before we do, we can just have a quick look at some fine dining here. There's some other kind of offerings, omotenashi, a kind of nice kai. What is this place? I'm not exactly sure, but a Japanese sort of fine dining place. There used to be a little ice cream place here. I don't think it's still here. But I am coming down. I like to think these are something akin to the Spanish stairs. And you see the park. Now it's sunset. When I was here 6 hours earlier, it was kind of the beginning of the day and there weren't that many people here. So here we are at the entrance of Inokashira Park, the Spanish stairs, as I like to say, and a little courtyard of happiness, welcome to the park vibe. There's typically some people busking and performing, and there's sometimes kamishibai, this sort of storytellers who entertain kids. There's a couple of little resident restaurants that look like they've already closed for the day, but they have some cold snacks and some tasty bites and some cold beers and some maybe shaved ice and soft cream. Here we are at the main entrance of the park. The main opening where they have little art festivals and the welcoming grounds of the park. There's a band shell over there, and there's typically booths with various creators who have each rented art mart booths, and they're selling their creations and wares. The season might already be over, or they might be between seasons, or it might only happen on Saturdays and not on Sundays. But this is the park, and you can walk around all the way to the other side, and I'm going to show you more of the park here. Looks like we've got a dog party, a bunch of golden retrievers. My mother had a pack of these dogs. And here we're coming to the park. It's kind of like a mixed use space. There's restaurants in the park. There's little cafes offering various coffees and foods. There's a Thai restaurant. There's a curry place. And here we are at the Inokashira Pond, which is a very famous place for taking one of the swan pedal paddle boats out onto the lake with a date and enjoying a nice view of Inokashira Park and Inokashira Pond. It's really, really spectacular. And all of these trees that you see here, or most of them, are sakura cherry blossom trees, and they are all very beautiful, falling into the pond here at peak sakura season. And over here we have the other half of the lake, and I can see some waterfowl out there. They drained the lake here a few years ago, and it looks like it's in very good health again. There are some nice reeds here growing, and I see the weeping willows in the distance. And this condo that you see off in the distance is one of the most highly coveted residents in all of Kichijoji, maybe perhaps all of Tokyo. If you can manage to score a parkside view of an apartment there, you do your best to hang on to it, and if you can pass it on to friends or family, you try to keep it in the community. Or over here you'll see a little bridge. You can walk all the way around the park, and over here, right beyond that stone bridge, is a sign that says that it is a well, and it is the source well for the Kanda River, which flows all across Tokyo and all the way to Kanda and maybe Sumida River. So this is where it begins, and it flows all the way to the narrowing of this pond and goes down into Kanda River, which flows right by our house. It's a great little place to spend the weekends, grabbing some little river fish by the hand and catching crawdads and trying to stay cool in the very hot Tokyo summers. This is a fun little bridge that intersects the pond here. I don't know whether to call it a pond or a lake, but yeah, it's just a really lovely green place in Tokyo, and it actually is enormous. This is just a small fraction of the park. And what's kind of cool is that, like, right beyond this building across the way is another giant section of the park, and it is home to the Ghibli Museum, which of course has the Neko bus and the giant robots and all of the cool Ghibli characters that you know and love. It's got little snippets of Miyazaki Studio, and there's tennis grounds and ball fields and totally wooded areas where you can get lost. And again, on the other side of the park is this lovely little sort of third-tier zoo. Here we are at the Inokashira Park Zoo. It's nothing really particularly spectacular. The one sort of noteworthy animal that we had here was Hanako, who's since passed on. And now we have some meerkats, chipmunks, and we have the beautiful Oshidori bird, which you can find in Inokashira Park. The males are very beautiful. They have this very vibrant, colorful plumage, and the females are slightly different. They have a more sort of subdued brown with these beautiful blue wings. And yeah, they've got the Japanese crane, the red-headed crane that's quite elegant, and swans and fish and lizards and turtles and kind of smaller creatures, and it's a nice way to visit the park. They also have like capybara, and there's some deer, and there's monkeys, and yeah, it's a nice little zoo. So half of it is on this side of the park, and half of the zoo is on the other side of the park. So you can get a ticket, like a $2 ticket to the zoo, and you can explore this side of the zoo, and you can sort of pass through till you get to the other side into these bridges that cross the lake and look on the swans. I can see one of them here, and then you can pass through some buskers and people making balloons and playing music and just entertaining the park visitors, and then you can pass on to the other side of the park, which is a little bit bigger, and where Hanako lived, and it's kind of the main area of the zoo. I'll mention here that off here in the distance you can also see just the very top. You'll see maybe the gold reflecting of the Inokashira Park Jinja. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but this is the local Shinto shrine that is inside the park. It's actually beautifully painted, vibrant red, and that gives it kind of a distinct character. And it is the Jinja where my family and I come and do Hatsumode every year, which is the first visit to the shrine of the new year. So the park is quite huge, and you can run around it a couple of times and get a good 5 kilometers in if you're a jogger or a dog walker. And there's also like little cafes. Here's the Peppa Cafe, which is delicious Thai food. Up here in the forest, there's a couple of sort of charming coffee shops along the way. There's a little Teishoku curry sort of family restaurant down the way this way, not far from the shrine. And there's public artworks, and like I said, usually on the weekends there's people selling their crafts, and it's a really lovely pocket of Tokyo that I love to come to, and I really consider it part of my home here in Japan. So I think that winds our little tour of Kichijoji down. It was only supposed to take us a couple of hours, distilled down to a short video, but I think it's going to go quite long. And if you have stuck around here till the very end, you get 10,000 extra bonus points, which I am giving myself because I spent nearly all day on this. Well, some hours in the morning and some hours in the afternoon. I am going to head back home and rest for the weekend. Can we get 8 days a week this week? I think we need one extra weekend day. That would be really nice. I want to thank you for being here for the whole time. If you made it to the end of this video, I know it's been a really long one, and I know it doesn't have much to do with music or with records, but I'm happy to, just kind of riff from time to time on different aspects of life in Tokyo. And Tokyo's in the title. It's records, it's Tokyo, records, and style. So today it's summer style. It's September, but it's still boiling here. So I'm gonna go get a iced coffee and chill out, and then head back home. And again, I really appreciate you being here. I want to be your lifeline to Japan. If you have any questions about Tokyo, about Japan, about records, about music, about motorcycles, about whatever, then please don't hesitate to reach out to me and to contact me if you decide to come here. And if you do, don't hesitate to come out to this little outpost on the edge of northwest Tokyo, the neighborhood of Kichijoji, and this lovely Inokashira Park. I promise you won't be disappointed. It's a lovely little pocket of Tokyo, and it's not just beloved in this neck of the woods. It's well known across the city. It's a very wonderful place, and I'm very fortunate to get to visit here frequently. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, I'll see you at the record store. Bye.